The small town of Willow Creek buzzed with a mixture of excitement and disbelief. Anna Montgomery, a pillar of the community and recent widow, had done the unthinkable. At 60, she had married Ben Carter, a man young enough to be her son, a mere 29 years old. Anna was well known and respected. Her late husband, Robert, had been the town doctor, and together they had been Willow Creek's golden couple. They were known for their generosity and community involvement. Anna herself had run a successful antique store for over 30 years, amassing a considerable fortune. After Robert's passing, a shadow of grief seemed to cling to her, making her all the more vulnerable. Then came Ben. He arrived in Willow Creek seemingly out of nowhere, claiming to be a freelance photographer drawn to the town's quaint charm. He was handsome, with a disarming smile and an effortless charisma that captivated everyone he met. But it was Anna he focused on. He showered her with compliments, listened intently to her stories, and seemed genuinely interested in her life. The age gap was impossible to ignore. Whispers followed Anna and Ben wherever they went. Some whispered that Ben was a gold digger, preying on a lonely, wealthy widow. Others said that Anna was simply seeking companionship and a renewed sense of purpose. Only Anna and Ben truly knew what drew them together. Their courtship was swift. Within months, they were engaged, and the wedding was the social event of the year. Held at Anna's sprawling estate, the ceremony was lavish, with flowers imported from around the world and a guest list that included everyone who was anyone in Willow Creek. Anna glowed in her white dress, her eyes sparkling with happiness. Ben stood beside her, radiating an almost unsettling charm. As they exchanged vows, few could have predicted the tragic events that would unfold just 2 days later, shattering the illusion of their fairy tale romance and leaving the town in shock. Anna's life before Ben was a tapestry woven with threads of success, love, and, ultimately, profound loss. She wasn't just a wealthy widow. She was Anna Montgomery, a force to be reckoned with in Willow Creek and beyond. Montgomery Antiques, her store on Main Street, wasn't just a business. It was a testament to her keen eye for beauty, her sharp business acumen, and her unwavering dedication. She'd started small, with a handful of inherited pieces, and built it into a thriving enterprise known for its unique finds and fair prices. Her marriage to Robert had been the bedrock of her life. They were true partners, supporting each other's ambitions and sharing a deep, abiding love. Robert's death from a sudden heart attack had left a gaping hole in Anna's world. The vibrancy that had once characterized her dimmed, replaced by a quiet sorrow. While she maintained a brave face, those closest to her saw the vulnerability that lay beneath. The extent of Anna's wealth was a subject of local speculation. The antique store was undoubtedly profitable, but it was Robert's investments that had truly secured their financial future. He had been a shrewd investor, and Anna inherited a considerable portfolio, along with the estate and several other properties. It was a sum that could easily tempt someone with less than honorable intentions. The will was straightforward. Anna inherited everything, with provisions for generous donations to local charities upon her death. This made Anna's wealth even more of a potential prize for anyone looking for a quick and easy fortune. Her grief, combined with her considerable assets, made her a target. She was lonely, vulnerable, and wealthy, a combination that, unfortunately, attracted the attention of someone like Ben Carter. Ben's arrival in Anna's life was like a carefully orchestrated performance. He claimed he stumbled upon Willow Creek while driving cross-country, searching for picturesque towns to photograph. He said he was immediately captivated by the charm of Montgomery Antiques and the elegance of its owner. Their first encounter was seemingly innocent. Ben entered the store, feigning interest in a vintage camera display. He struck up a conversation with Anna, complimenting her knowledge and passion for antiques. He listened intently as she spoke about her late husband, offering words of sympathy and understanding that seemed remarkably genuine. From that moment on, Ben made it his mission to be a constant presence in Anna's life. He would visit the store daily, bringing her flowers or small gifts. He offered to help with tasks around the shop, running errands, and even assisting with repairs. He invited her to lunch, to dinner, to art exhibits in neighboring towns. His attentiveness was relentless. He remembered every detail she told him, from her favorite flower to her preferred brand of tea. He anticipated her needs, offering a comforting hand or a listening ear whenever she seemed down. He made her feel seen, valued, and cherished, something she hadn't experienced since Robert's death. He was just so charming, recalled Martha, and his closest friend, in a later interview. He seemed to hang on her every word. We were all a bit skeptical, of course, given the age difference. I remember telling Anna to be careful, that it all seemed too good to be true. But she was so happy. And honestly, Ben seemed genuinely smitten with her. Even Anna's nephew, David, who was fiercely protective of her, admitted that Ben had a certain appeal. I didn't trust him from the start, David confessed, but I couldn't deny that he made her smile. And after everything she'd been through, I didn't want to take that away from her. I just hoped she knew what she was doing. Blinded by love, Anna didn't see the carefully constructed facade Ben was presenting. She saw a kind, caring man who seemed to adore her, and that was all that mattered. The engagement announcement came as a shock, even to those who had witnessed Ben's relentless pursuit of Anna. Barely 6 months after their first meeting, the local newspaper printed a photograph of Anna, beaming, with a sparkling diamond ring on her finger, and Ben, looking ever so dapper, by her side. The headline screamed, "Willow Creek Widow finds love again." The speed of the relationship was dizzying. It was as if Ben was determined to solidify his place in Anna's life before anyone could truly intervene. The wedding planning began almost immediately, transforming Anna's estate into a flurry of activity. Caterers, florists, and event planners descended upon Willow Creek, preparing for what was sure to be the biggest event the town had seen in years. The wedding itself was an extravagant affair. Anna spared no expense, determined to create a fairy tale celebration of her newfound love. The grounds were transformed into a romantic wonderland, with twinkling lights, cascading floral arrangements, and a string quartet playing softly in the background. Anna looked radiant in her custom-designed gown, her eyes sparkling with joy. But beneath the surface of the fairy tale, subtle doubts lingered. Some guests whispered amongst themselves, questioning the appropriateness of the age gap and the speed of the romance. Others expressed concerns about Ben's true intentions, wondering if he was simply after Anna's wealth. Even as Anna walked down the aisle, her nephew David couldn't shake a feeling of unease. He saw the genuine happiness in her eyes, but he also saw a vulnerability that Ben seemed all too eager to exploit. He caught Ben's eye briefly, and he couldn't decipher the look on his face. Was it love? Or was it something far more sinister? The wedding was a spectacle of joy, but also a breeding ground for suspicion, a stark contrast that foreshadowed the tragedy that lay just around the corner. As Anna and Ben exchanged vows, promising to love and cherish each other for eternity, the seeds of their downfall were already sown. The honeymoon was meant to be a fairy tale ending, a chance for Anna and Ben to escape the scrutiny of Willow Creek and bask in the glow of their newfound love. They chose a luxurious resort in the Bahamas, a secluded paradise known for its pristine beaches and unparalleled service. Social media painted a picture of idyllic bliss. Anna, who had previously been hesitant to embrace technology, suddenly became an avid poster on Instagram. Pictures showed her and Ben strolling hand in hand along the beach, sipping cocktails by the pool, and enjoying romantic dinners under the stars. The captions were filled with declarations of love and gratitude, reinforcing the image of a couple deeply in love. "Feeling so blessed to have found my soulmate," Anna wrote in one post, accompanied by a photo of her and Ben sharing a kiss at sunset. "Life is truly beautiful when you're with the right person." Resort staff later recalled the couple as being affectionate and seemingly happy. The concierge remembered Ben being particularly attentive, always making sure Anna was comfortable and catered to. The bartender mentioned their laughter and light-hearted banter, describing them as a perfectly normal, happy couple. However, even in paradise, subtle cracks began to appear. One of the waitresses recalled a hushed argument between Anna and Ben one evening, though she couldn't make out the words. Another staff member noticed Ben spending an unusually long time on his phone, often stepping away from Anna to take calls in private. These small details, initially dismissed as insignificant, would later take on a much darker meaning. The carefully curated image of marital bliss was a facade, masking a growing tension that would soon erupt in the most devastating way imaginable. The honeymoon, meant to be the beginning of their happily ever after, was instead a prelude to tragedy, a brief moment of apparent peace before the storm. The contrast between the blissful facade and the brutal reality would only amplify the shock and horror that was about to grip Willow Creek. The idyllic honeymoon came to a screeching halt on the morning of the second day. A frantic call to the resort's front desk shattered the peaceful facade. A housekeeper, making her routine rounds, discovered Anna's lifeless body in the couple's suite. The scene was unsettling. Anna was lying in bed, the sheets tangled around her. There were no obvious signs of trauma, but something felt amiss. The room was unusually cold, the air conditioning cranked up high. A half-empty glass of water sat on a nightstand, and a scattering of pills lay nearby. But the most alarming discovery was the absence of Ben. His side of the bed was untouched, his belongings were gone, and he was nowhere to be found. The resort staff immediately launched a search, but quickly became clear that Ben had vanished. Initial reports suggested a possible accidental overdose. Perhaps Anna had taken too many sleeping pills, combined with alcohol. But the experienced detective who arrived on the scene wasn't so sure. The pills were not Anna's usual prescription, and the way they were scattered seemed deliberately staged. The room felt wrong, as if a dark secret was lurking beneath the surface. The detective noted the forced air, the misplaced items, and the unsettling quiet. Something about the scene screamed foul play. As news of Anna's death spread through Willow Creek, shock and disbelief rippled through the town. The fairy tale romance had ended in the most horrific way imaginable, and the disappearance of Ben only fueled the growing suspicion that something sinister had occurred. The honeymoon paradise had become a crime scene, and the question on everyone's mind was, what really happened to Anna Montgomery? And where was Ben? The answers, they knew, would be far more disturbing than anyone could have imagined. The initial police investigation focused squarely on Ben Carter. His disappearance, coupled with the suspicious circumstances surrounding Anna's death, made him the prime suspect. Detectives immediately launched a manhunt, issuing an all-points bulletin and alerting international authorities. The age difference between Anna and Ben, which had already raised eyebrows, now became a central point of scrutiny. Investigators delved into Ben's background, searching for any red flags or evidence of prior misconduct. They interviewed his acquaintances, combed through his financial records, and scrutinized his social media activity. The fact that Ben was aware of Anna's wealth added another layer of suspicion. Detectives learned about the extent of Anna's inheritance from Robert, as well as her own successful business. They discovered that Ben had made inquiries about Anna's will shortly after their marriage, raising questions about his motives. It was clear from the start that Ben was our main focus, stated Detective Miller, the lead investigator on the case. His sudden disappearance, the suspicious scene at the resort, and his knowledge of Anna's wealth all pointed towards foul play. Potential motives began to emerge. Was Ben simply after Anna's money? Had he planned to kill her from the beginning, or had something gone wrong during their honeymoon? Was there a prenuptial agreement that limited his access to her fortune? The investigation also explored the possibility that Ben had an accomplice. Perhaps someone else was involved in Anna's death, and Ben had fled out of fear or guilt. Detectives interviewed Anna's friends and family, searching for any clues or insights into her relationship with Ben. The initial investigation was a whirlwind of activity, fueled by suspicion and a desperate desire to uncover the truth. But as the days passed without any sign of Ben, the pressure mounted. The people of Willow Creek demanded answers, and the detectives knew they had to find Ben Carter, not only to bring him to justice, but also to unravel the mystery surrounding Anna Montgomery's tragic death. Ben's disappearance ignited a massive manhunt that spanned continents. Law enforcement agencies worked tirelessly, tracking down leads and pursuing every possible avenue. Interpol was involved, and Ben's picture was plastered across news outlets worldwide. The media frenzy was intense. News channels ran constant updates on the case, dissecting every detail of Anna and Ben's relationship. Tabloids ran sensationalized stories, portraying Ben as a heartless gold digger who had preyed on a vulnerable widow. The public was captivated by the story, eager to follow every twist and turn. As days turned into weeks, the pressure on law enforcement intensified. The people of Willow Creek were outraged by Anna's death and demanded justice. They organized vigils and rallies, calling for Ben's swift capture and prosecution. The search for Ben was hampered by his resourcefulness and his ability to blend in. He had no known family or close friends, and he had lived a relatively nomadic lifestyle before arriving in Willow Creek. He seemed to have vanished without a trace. Detectives tracked Ben's movements in the days leading up to Anna's death, piecing together his travel itinerary and identifying potential escape routes. They discovered that he had purchased a one-way ticket to a neighboring island shortly before Anna's death, but he never boarded the flight. The manhunt extended beyond the Bahamas, as investigators explored the possibility that Ben had fled to another country. They worked with foreign law enforcement agencies to track down potential leads and monitor border crossings. The growing public outrage fueled the search. People from all walks of life offered tips and information, hoping to help bring Ben to justice. The case became a symbol of betrayal and greed, and the public was determined to see Ben held accountable for his actions. Despite the extensive efforts of law enforcement, Ben remained at large, a phantom figure eluding capture and fueling the growing sense of unease and injustice in Willow Creek. As the manhunt for Ben intensified, investigators delved deeper into his past, uncovering a disturbing pattern of behavior. What emerged was a picture of a manipulative con artist who had preyed on vulnerable, wealthy women for years. Ben's real name was not Ben Carter. He had assumed multiple identities over the years, each one designed to charm and deceive his victims. He had a knack for spotting lonely, affluent women and exploiting their vulnerabilities for financial gain. Detectives discovered a string of similar relationships in Ben's past. He had dated or been involved with several older, wealthy women, each of whom had experienced some form of financial exploitation or emotional manipulation. In one case, he had persuaded an elderly woman to invest her life savings in a bogus business venture, leaving her penniless. In another, he had drained a woman's bank account through a series of fraudulent transactions. The pattern was clear. Ben targeted vulnerable women, gained their trust, and then systematically exploited them for their money. He was a master of deception, able to portray himself as a caring and devoted partner while secretly plotting his next move. The discovery of Ben's past sent shockwaves through Willow Creek. Anna's friends and family were horrified to learn the truth about the man she had married. They realized that she had been a victim of a calculated and cruel scheme. The evidence painted a damning picture of Ben as a serial con artist who had likely targeted Anna for her wealth. The revelations strengthened the case against him and fueled the determination to bring him to justice. The investigators now understood that Anna was not an isolated incident, but rather the latest victim in a long line of Ben's exploitations. This knowledge solidified their resolve to find him and ensure that he could no longer harm anyone else. After months on the run, Ben was finally apprehended in a small town in Mexico. Acting on a tip, local authorities surrounded his hideout and took him into custody without incident. He offered no resistance, his days of deception finally at an end. His arrest sent a wave of relief through Willow Creek. The community, still reeling from Anna's death, felt a sense of closure in knowing that her alleged killer was finally in custody. The focus now shifted to gathering irrefutable evidence to ensure his conviction. The evidence against Ben was substantial. Financial records revealed that he had been systematically transferring funds from Anna's accounts to offshore bank accounts in the days leading up to her death. These transfers, disguised as legitimate business transactions, totaled hundreds of thousands of dollars. Witnesses from the resort in the Bahamas came forward with crucial testimony. The waitress who had overheard the hushed argument between Anna and Ben recalled Ben becoming increasingly agitated and demanding in the days before Anna's death. The staff member who had seen Ben on his phone constantly provided details about his secretive conversations. Forensic evidence from the crime scene further implicated Ben. Traces of his fingerprints were found on the glass of water and the pill bottle near Anna's body. The pills themselves were identified as a powerful sedative that had not been prescribed to Anna. A toxicology report confirmed that Anna had a lethal dose of the sedative in her system at the time of her death. Perhaps the most damning piece of evidence was a handwritten note found in Ben's possession at the time of his arrest. The note detailed a plan to defraud Anna of her money and escape to Mexico. The note provided a chilling insight into Ben's cold and calculating nature. With Ben in custody and the evidence mounting against him, the stage was set for a trial that would captivate the nation and reveal the full extent of his betrayal. The trial of Ben Carter was a media circus. The courtroom was packed with reporters, spectators, and Anna's grieving friends and family. The atmosphere was tense, thick with anticipation and sorrow. The prosecution presented a compelling case, meticulously laying out the evidence against Ben. They called expert witnesses to testify about the financial transactions, the forensic evidence, and Ben's history of conning women. The handwritten note found in Ben's possession was a key piece of evidence, revealing his motive and his plan to defraud Anna. The defense argued that the prosecution's case was based on circumstantial evidence. They claimed that Anna's death was an accidental overdose and that Ben had fled out of panic, not guilt. They attempted to discredit the prosecution's witnesses and cast doubt on the forensic evidence. Ben himself took the stand in his own defense. He denied any involvement in Anna's death, claiming that he loved her and would never do anything to harm her. He portrayed himself as a victim of circumstance, falsely accused and unfairly targeted. The trial was emotionally draining for Anna's family and friends. They had to relive the details of her death and endure Ben's lies and manipulations. Martha, Anna's best friend, broke down in tears on the stand as she described Anna's kindness and generosity. David, Anna's nephew, testified about his initial reservations about Ben and his growing suspicion that something was not right. The emotional impact of the trial was palpable. The courtroom was often filled with tears and gasps as the evidence was presented and the witnesses testified. Anna's family and friends sought justice for her death, hoping that Ben would be held accountable for his actions. The trial was a painful reminder of their loss, but it was also an opportunity to seek closure and ensure that Anna's memory would be honored. After weeks of testimony and deliberation, the jury reached a verdict. The courtroom fell silent as the foreperson read the verdict: guilty on all counts. Ben Carter was found guilty of Anna Montgomery's murder and several counts of fraud and theft. A collective sigh of relief swept through the courtroom. Anna's family and friends embraced, tears streaming down their faces. Justice had finally been served. Ben Carter's lies and manipulations had been exposed, and he would pay the price for his crimes. The sentencing hearing took place several weeks later. The prosecution argued for the maximum penalty, citing Ben's history of conning women and the cold and calculated nature of Anna's murder. The defense pleaded for leniency, arguing that Ben was a troubled individual who deserved a second chance. The judge, however, was unmoved by the defense's arguments. He sentenced Ben Carter to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The judge condemned Ben's actions, calling him a predator who had preyed on a vulnerable woman for his own selfish gain. The verdict and sentencing brought a sense of closure to Willow Creek. The community had rallied around Anna's family and friends, supporting them through the difficult trial and celebrating the final outcome. While nothing could bring Anna back, the knowledge that her killer was behind bars provided some comfort. The legal implications of the case were significant. The trial highlighted the vulnerabilities of elderly individuals and the importance of protecting them from fraud and exploitation. The case also served as a reminder of the power of greed and the devastating consequences that can result from unchecked ambition. Justice had been served, but the scars of Anna's murder would forever remain etched in the memory of Willow Creek. The town hoped that her story would serve as a warning to others, preventing similar tragedies from occurring in the future. The aftermath of Anna's murder left a lasting impact on Willow Creek and served as a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities of elderly individuals. Anna's family, particularly her nephew David and her best friend Martha, struggled to cope with their grief and the betrayal they had experienced. David dedicated himself to raising awareness about elder fraud and exploitation. He established a foundation in Anna's name, providing resources and support to seniors and their families. He spoke at community events and conferences, sharing Anna's story and urging people to be vigilant in protecting their loved ones. Martha continued to run Montgomery Antiques, preserving Anna's legacy and keeping her memory alive. She transformed the store into a community hub, hosting workshops and events for seniors. She also volunteered at a local senior center, providing companionship and support to those in need. The case prompted legislative changes aimed at strengthening protections for elderly individuals. New laws were enacted to increase penalties for elder fraud and to improve the reporting and investigation of suspected cases of abuse. Anna's story became a cautionary tale, highlighting the importance of awareness and vigilance. It served as a reminder that predators often target the most vulnerable members of society, exploiting their loneliness, their trust, and their financial resources. The case also underscored the importance of family and community support. Anna's friends and family had played a crucial role in bringing Ben to justice and in ensuring that her memory would be honored. Their love and support had helped them to cope with their grief and to move forward in the wake of tragedy. In Willow Creek, Anna Montgomery's name became synonymous with strength, resilience, and the importance of protecting those who are most vulnerable. Her story served as a constant reminder of the need to be vigilant and to stand up against injustice. The town vowed to never forget Anna and to continue fighting for a world where elderly individuals are safe, respected, and valued. Years after Ben's conviction, a new piece of information surfaced, casting a shadow of doubt on the completeness of the justice served. A former cellmate of Ben's came forward, claiming that Ben had confessed to him that he didn't act alone. He alleged that a member of Anna's inner circle had provided him with information about her finances and vulnerabilities, essentially setting her up to be exploited. The cellmate's testimony was initially dismissed as unreliable, but detectives decided to reopen the investigation. They re-examined the evidence, interviewed Anna's friends and family again, and scrutinized her financial records. To their surprise, they uncovered a series of suspicious transactions involving Anna's accountant, a trusted advisor who had managed her finances for many years. The accountant had been secretly siphoning funds from Anna's accounts for his own personal gain, and he had been in contact with Ben in the months leading up to her death. The accountant was arrested and charged with conspiracy to commit fraud and murder. He denied any involvement in Anna's death, claiming that he had only provided Ben with financial information and that he had no knowledge of his plans to harm her. However, the evidence against the accountant was compelling. His financial records showed a clear pattern of theft and deception, and his communications with Ben revealed a close and secretive relationship. The revelation of the accountant's involvement sent shockwaves through Willow Creek once again. The community was stunned to learn that someone so close to Anna could have betrayed her in such a horrific way. The case of Anna Montgomery serves as a tragic reminder of the dangers of greed, deception, and the importance of vigilance. It underscores the vulnerabilities of elderly individuals and the need to protect them from those who would seek to exploit them. It also highlights the complexities of justice and the importance of never giving up on the search for the truth. Even after years have passed, new information can surface, changing the course of a case and revealing the full extent of the betrayal. Anna's story is a testament to the enduring power of love, community, and the unwavering pursuit of justice.